The smell of metal and old air moved slowly through the corridors of the ship Aurora's Reach as it traveled between distant stars. The ship was not large compared to the great war cruisers of the galaxy, but it was strong, well-built, and trusted by those who served on it. Every surface was clean. Every control panel had clear purpose, and every person on board moved with quiet focus. In one of its observation rooms, Commander Rian Hale stood near a large window, watching the endless darkness outside. The stars stretched like white dust across the black universe. He had seen them so many times, yet today they felt heavier, as if they carried memory and weight. Ryan was a man known not for his strength, but for his mind. Calm under pressure, steady in crisis, and loyal to those who needed him. His short dark hair and sharp eyes gave him a look of constant awareness, as if he could see danger before it arrived. He had fought in wars. He had made hard decisions, some good, some painful, and some that still echoed inside him. Behind him, the large door slid open with a soft hiss. Zyrak entered. His tall figure nearly touched the doorframe. He was from an ancient alien race called the Varukai, known in the galaxy as powerful warriors who carried honor like armor. Zyrak's scales were deep blue, smooth but hard like polished stone. His eyes glowed gold, bright and steady. When he walked, his steps were quiet, controlled. He did not waste movement. He did not show fear, and Rian knew exactly why. Zyrak had once sworn a life bond to Rian, something the Varukai only did when a debt of the soul existed. Some people misunderstood. Some said Zyrak was bought like a tool, but that was not true. Among Zyrak's people, a life bond was sacred honor. It meant to protect, to serve, to stand beside, even if death came. Zyrak stopped beside Ryan and spoke softly in his calm, deep voice. "Your breathing is tense. You are thinking of the past again." Ryan did not deny it. He only nodded. "We lost too much in the last war. Worlds fell. Colonies burned. I don't want it to happen again." Zyrak folded his arms behind his back, a soldier's stance. "Then we must stop the danger before it reaches them." Ryan breathed out slowly. Yes, that was why they were traveling now. They were returning to Vathros Station, a large trade station where many species lived, worked, and traded peacefully. But the station had gone silent. No messages. No traffic. No beacon. Silence in space was never good. Rian turned away from the window. "Navigation reports we are close. Prepare to land." Zyrak placed one fist on his chest, his gesture of respect. "As you command." A silent station. The shuttle moved from the ship and glided toward the dark shape of Vathros Station. Normally, its windows shined with bright colors. Music played in its halls, and traffic lines of small ships moved around it like fish in water. But now it looked like an empty shell floating in space. No lights. No sound, no movement. Inside the shuttle, Ryan checked his gear. A light armored vest, a communication earpiece, a sidearm. Zyrak, however, needed no armor. His natural scales were harder than metal. He carried only a simple staff weapon on his back, more symbolic than necessary. Zyrak himself was the weapon. "You do not need to come with me," Rian said carefully. "This could be simple. A system failure, a technical issue." Zyrak's expression did not change. "It is never simple." Ryan could not argue with that. The shuttle docked. The doors opened. A cold, stale smell drifted into the airlock, air that had not circulated correctly for some time. Zyrak stepped in first. He always did. The hallway ahead was dark, but emergency lights glowed faintly along the floor, guiding a dim path deeper inside. The metal walls were scratched, and the silence was too heavy. Rian had been in enough battles to recognize tension in the air. Something here was wrong. As they walked, Zyrak's golden eyes scanned every corner. His voice remained calm. No bodies, no signs of struggle, but also no life. Rian nodded. They didn't evacuate. They didn't fight. They were taken fast. The corridor led to a central atrium, and there, finally, they saw someone. A woman. She sat against a wall, one hand pressed to her shoulder, blood dried around the injury but not fresh. She was breathing. She was alive. She wore a station engineer badge. Ryan hurried forward. Zyrak positioned to guard the area, watching shadows for movement. "Hey," Rian said gently, kneeling. "I'm Commander Ryan Hale of Aurora's Reach. You're safe now. Can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. They were pale brown, tired, frightened, but full of determination. "My name, Arya Soren," she whispered. "Engineer. Level 3 systems officer." I stayed behind. I tried to lock them out. Ryan's expression tightened. "Who attacked the station?" Arya swallowed hard, trying to stay conscious. "Raiders, from the outer fracture. They had weapons I've never seen. They disabled security in seconds. They didn't kill. They captured. Crew, civilians. Everyone?" Zyrak stepped closer, his voice calm but focused. "How many?" "At least 70 armed men. Maybe more. They're holding control at the central command deck." Rian let out a slow breath. That meant they were preparing something bigger, a larger invasion or supply theft or worse. Zyrak looked to Ryan for direction. Ryan nodded once. We moved to command. "Arya, can you walk?" She tried to stand, but her leg wobbled. Zyrak stepped forward and offered support, carefully, gently, moving slow so she would not feel threatened. Arya looked up at him with surprise. Not fear, just surprise. I thought. "Your species only fought," she breathed. Zyrak's voice remained steady. "My species protects." Ryan watched the exchange and felt something shift in the air. He could not name it, but it felt important. Moving through shadows, they moved carefully through the station, passing silent storefronts, dark walkways, and once lively gathering places now empty. Every step echoed, each sound too loud. Rian spoke quietly. "If the raiders took the station and left it intact, then they want something. Data, supplies, trade routes. Something valuable," Arya nodded. "Yes, and they were organized. Not like common pirates. They followed orders." Zyrak's claws clicked softly against the floor as he walked. "Then there is a leader, one with purpose." They reached a security checkpoint with powered doors. The panel flickered, damaged. Arya leaned forward. "I can bypass it, but I need time." Zyrak positioned himself in front of them, guarding. Ryan stood back to cover the other side. The silence continued, too long, too quiet. Then, footsteps. Rian whispered, "Incoming." 3 raiders appeared from the hallway, armed, cautious, searching. Zyrak did not hesitate. He moved like wind. No roar. No shout, just sudden, controlled action. He grabbed the first raider's weapon and twisted it free. The second swung a metal baton. Zyrak blocked and swept his legs. The third tried to fire a stun rifle, but Zyrak stepped forward and pressed the barrel aside before striking the man's chest with the back of his hand. All 3 raiders fell to the floor. Alive, but unable to fight. Rian watched silently. "Every time, I forget how fast you are." Zyrak only replied with, "I do only what is needed." Arya looked at Zyrak with wide eyes, not fear, astonishment. The door opened with a soft beep. They continued forward. The command deck door sat last, after long corridors and silent halls. They reached the final barrier. The doors to the command deck, large, reinforced, blocked. Behind those doors, dozens of hostages. Raiders preparing something dangerous. The future of multiple colonies at risk. Ryan looked at Zyrak. Zyrak looked back. No words were needed. Arya placed her hand on the lock panel. "Once I open this door, there is no turning back." Ryan nodded. "We go in. We end this." Zyrak placed his hand to his chest, his oath renewed. "I will do what must be done." The door lock beeped. The lights flickered. The metal door began to open, and the real battle waited inside. The command deck doors slid open slowly, metal grinding against metal. A thin, cold air drifted out, carrying the smell of old electronics and burned wires. Ryan, Zyrak, and Arya stood ready. The room beyond was large, circular, and usually bright with screens and voices. Now its lights were dim and flickering. Inside, several armed raiders stood watch. They wore mismatched armor and carried weapons that looked stolen from multiple worlds. But the most important thing in the room was not them. It was the hostages. Around 20 people, engineers, merchants, traders, security staff, sat on the floor with their hands tied. No one looked physically harmed, but fear covered every face. They looked up when the door opened, but did not dare speak. Ryan raised his hand in a silent signal. "Do not panic. We will protect you." The raiders turned. One shouted, "Hey!" He did not finish. Zyrak moved first. He launched forward like a silent comet, body low and balanced. His hand caught the nearest raider's arm and twisted it back. The weapon fell to the floor. Zirak pushed the man aside and continued, blocking a strike from another raider with his forearm, then sweeping his legs with a precise kick. Ryan moved next, pushing forward, using cover where needed. He was not as fast as Zirak, but he was efficient. He fired his sidearm only when necessary, each shot aimed to disarm, not kill. He pulled one raider's leg to knock him off balance and used the handle of his gun to quiet another. Arya stayed close to the door at first, watching for danger from behind. Her heart pounded, but her mind remained calm. She saw how Ryan moved, how Zirak protected both of them without needing instructions. Slowly, she stepped forward to help untie the nearest hostages, whispering, "Stay down. Stay quiet. Help is here." The hostages nodded quickly, hope returning to their eyes. But then, a voice echoed from the far end of the room. A commanding voice, smooth and confident. "So, the hero returns." Everyone froze. From the shadows stepped a tall man wearing black armor with silver markings. His hair was tied back, his expression sharp. His eyes held no fear at all. Ryan recognized him instantly. Tarek Voss, once a colonist, once a soldier, now a criminal warlord who controlled raider fleets across the outer fracture. Ryan's jaw tightened. "You're behind this." Tarek smiled without warmth. "Of course. Vathros Station has trade routes worth more than entire planets, and now they belong to me." Ryan took one step forward. "You're going to release these people." Tarek laughed softly. "No, Ryan, you will leave. And you will forget this place. Because if you stay, people die." He raised his hand. A raider placed a small detonation device on the floor. A blinking red light flashed slowly. Arya inhaled sharply. "That's a reactor override trigger. If he activates it," Zirak finished her sentence, "the station will explode." The hostages gasped. Ryan's heartbeat pounded in his ears. One wrong move, everyone here would be gone. Tarek tilted his head thoughtfully. "You have one chance. Walk away, leave the station. Take your ship. And in return, I will only take the station. No one else dies." Ryan looked at the hostages, at Arya, at Zirak. He thought of colonies relying on this station. He pictured planets starving, trade collapsing, thousands suffering. He could not leave. Ryan's voice was steady. "No." Tarek blinked once. Not surprised, almost pleased. "So be it." He pressed a button on a controller. The red blinking light began flashing faster. Zirak spoke immediately. "Ryan, I can reach it." Ryan looked at him sharply. "If you get near it, the raiders will—" "I have sworn to protect," Zirak said. "I do not break my oath," Tarek pointed. "Stop him." Two raiders jumped at Zirak. He blocked the first with his arm and struck the second in the chest, sending him back. But more raiders stepped forward, forming a wall between Zirak and the device. Ryan joined the fight. Punches, dodges, grips. He fought using technique, not power. Arya ducked low, moving among the hostages to finish untying them. Whispering calm instructions, "Stay down. Don't run yet, wait." The battle was loud now. Metal clashed. Boots scraped. Bodies struck the floor. But through it all, Zirak kept his focus on the device. Tarek watched them with the calm expression of a man confident he had already won. "You cannot stop it. Even if you reach the device, my fleet arrives in minutes. You cannot fight what comes next." Ryan looked at him. "We will see." Zirak broke through the final line of raiders. He dove forward, skidding across the floor, reaching the detonator. But something unexpected happened. The blinking stopped. Just stopped. The device did not explode. Instead, a message flashed on its small screen. "Remote signal jammed, control override interrupted." Zirak blinked. Ryan stared. Arya took a step forward. Confused, Tarek's confident smile faded. For the first time, he looked at the room's large control screen. Someone had hacked the command. Systems. Someone inside the station. A voice came over the intercom, weak, but steady. "This is Chief Technician Dana Rowan. I hid in the ventilation system long enough to break signal control. Raiders are locked out of detonation access." The hostages gasped. Arya's eyes filled with relief. "She's alive. I knew someone would fight." Tarek's jaw tightened. He stepped back. "Then I changed the plan." He pointed his weapon toward the nearest hostage. Before he could fire, Zirak was already there. His body moved without thought, without hesitation. He placed himself between the weapon and the hostage. The laser bolt fired. It struck Zyrak's shoulder, a hot, burning flash of energy. Zyrak staggered, but he did not fall. The hostage beneath him cried softly. Zyrak's voice was steady. Quiet. You will not harm them. Tarek stepped back another few yards. Then he activated a wrist device. A hologram map appeared, showing ships approaching the station. A fleet, a raider fleet, dozens of vessels. Tarek smiled again, confident once more. You stopped the explosion. Good. That means the station remains valuable. My fleet arrives in 3 minutes, and when they dock this time you will have nowhere to run. He tapped a button. The outer doors of the command deck closed and locked tight. He stepped backward toward an escape shaft hatch. Ryan moved forward, but the doors locked too quickly. Tarek disappeared into the shaft, vanishing into the depths of the station. Silence returned for a moment, but it was not peaceful silence. It was the silence before another storm. Arya hurried to Zyrak, examining the burn on his shoulder. Her voice was urgent but steady. Hold still. I can slow the heat spread. Just breathe. Zyrak said nothing. He only watched Ryan. Ryan stepped forward, eyes sharp, voice calm. We have 3 minutes to stop that fleet. If they dock, we lose everything. Arya looked around. Then we need to retake external control and activate the defense turrets. Ryan nodded. And call reinforcements. Zyrak stood straight, even with the injury. I will continue. Ryan looked at him firmly. You're hurt. Zyrak answered. I can move. I can fight. I can protect. That is enough. Ryan held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded once. Then let's finish this. The hostages were now free. Some helped injured others stand, but they didn't run. They looked to Ryan, to Zyrak, to Arya. They wanted to help, because courage spreads, and hope is contagious. Ryan pointed toward the elevator corridors. We moved together. Quiet, fast, no hesitation. Zyrak stepped forward, leading again, injured but unstoppable. Arya walked beside Ryan, hands shaking slightly, but her steps did not slow. Behind them, the hostages followed, no longer powerless. The station lights flickered, warning of incoming ships. 3 minutes, the fate of the station, the lives of everyone. Here, everything rested on what they would do next. They did not look back, they moved forward into the final battle that was waiting for them in the heart of Vathros Station. The warning sirens of Vathros Station blared in short, sharp bursts. Red lights flashed along the walls, and the faint vibration of the approaching raider fleet shook the metal floors. Time was running out. Ryan, Hale, Zyrak, and Arya Soren stood at the top of the command deck elevator corridor. Behind them, the freed hostages were moving cautiously, following every instruction. Zyrak's scales still glimmered faintly from the burn on his shoulder, but he refused to slow. His golden eyes were steady, focused. Ryan took a deep breath. This is it. Turrets control in the fleet. If we fail, the station falls. Arya's hands moved over a control panel nearby. I can retake the defense grid, but I need cover. One wrong move and the turrets will be useless. Zyrak stepped forward, placing himself between her and the corridor leading to the enemy raiders. I will cover you. Move fast. Ryan loaded his sidearm and motioned to the hostages. Everyone, stay behind cover. Stay quiet. Watch but do not act unless told. The air felt heavier now, electric with tension. Even the hum of the station's lights seemed louder than usual. Outside, the blinking of approaching ships could be seen faintly through the observation windows. They were coming faster than expected. Then the first raider appeared, not one, not two, a dozen sprinting through a side corridor toward the control panels. Their weapons glinted under the red emergency lights. Zyrak moved like wind. His first strike disarmed a raider in a single motion. He twisted, blocked, and struck with precision, sending another crashing into the wall. Each movement was calm, controlled, almost effortless, but effective. Every raider that reached him fell or fled. Ryan fired only when necessary, aiming to disable rather than destroy. He felt every shot, every step, and every decision weigh on him. He protected Arya, guided the hostages, and calculated the fastest path to the turret controls. Arya worked quickly, her fingers moving over the holographic interface. She reactivated turret systems one by one. Each time she whispered to herself, almost. Got it. Zyrak covered her, striking anyone who dared approach. One raider pulled a blade and lunged at Arya. Zyrak intercepted, grabbing the wrist and twisting, sending the man sprawling across the floor. Not a single hostage was harmed. Got it, Arya exclaimed. The turrets hummed to life. Outside, automated weapons lit up the incoming raider ships. Energy beams sliced through the darkness, tearing small vessels apart before they could dock. Tarek Voss appeared again, this time on a lower balcony overlooking the command deck. His expression was dark, frustrated. "You may have turrets," he shouted, "but my fleet will dock. You cannot hold them forever." Ryan glanced at Zyrak. The alien's shoulder still burned, yet he stood tall, unwavering. "We don't have to hold them forever," Ryan said calmly. "Just long enough." Zyrak nodded slightly. "Then we continue." The raiders tried to push forward, but the automated turrets kept them at bay. The hostages, emboldened by the defense, helped barricade doors, making it even harder for the raiders to advance. Rian noticed Arya glancing at Zyrak, admiration in her eyes. Not fear, not awe, respect. He smiled faintly, though there was no time to comment. Outside, the raider fleet was approaching the station's docking rings. Their ships were larger than anything the station's turrets could fully handle. If they docked, reinforcements would pour in and the station would be lost. Ryan turned to Arya. "We need a plan to disable their ships before docking." Arya's eyes widened. "The reactor core. If we overcharge the station's energy relay, we can emit a pulse strong enough to disable the fleet. But it's dangerous." "If I miscalculate," Zyrak finished her sentence, "the station could be damaged. We could all be injured." Ryan nodded. "Do it. We'll cover you." Arya moved to the central energy console, fingers flying over controls. Zyrak took a position in front of her, blocking any approaching raiders while Ryan provided cover from another corridor. Every second felt like an hour. The tension built with the low hum of the station's power, the distant flashing of enemy lights, and the steady breath of those preparing for the final fight. "Pulse ready," Arya whispered. "Stand back," Ryan said. Now. A wave of bright energy pulsed from the station's core. Lights flickered violently. The floor vibrated. Through the observation windows, the raider fleet froze mid-flight. Engines stuttered. Ships spun helplessly in space. Docking rings locked automatically. They could not connect. Tarek's face twisted in fury. "Impossible," he shouted. "You cannot stop me." Zyrak advanced toward him with unbroken calm. "You miscalculated." The raider warlord drew a heavy blaster, aiming at Zyrak, but the alien's reflexes were too fast. In one swift movement, Zyrak grabbed the blaster, twisting it away and striking Tarek's chest. The impact sent the man stumbling back. Rian moved to secure him. "It's over, Tarek. Leave. Surrender." Tarek's hands shook with anger and disbelief. Finally, he gave a bitter laugh. "You may have won this time. But the galaxy is bigger than you." Ryan's eyes were calm. "Then let it try." With the raider fleet disabled and Tarek subdued, the hostages could finally breathe. They moved to safety, helping those who had been injured and thanking Rian, Arya, and Zyrak. Arya turned to Zyrak. Her voice was soft but clear. "You but saved everyone, even with your shoulder injured." Zyrak's voice remained steady. "I promised protection. I keep my promises." Ryan watched quietly, a small sense of pride in his chest. Zyrak had never served for reward. He had never hesitated, and now he had done more than repay a debt. He had chosen to protect not because he had to, but because he wanted to. The station's internal systems began returning to normal. Lights flickered back fully. Communications came online. Vathros station was alive again. Ryan stepped beside Zyrak. "You've done more than I could have asked." Zyrak's golden eyes met his. "I did only what was necessary." Arya placed a hand on the console, breathing heavily. We did it." "We saved the station," Ryan nodded, "and not a life lost unnecessarily." The three of them stood for a moment, watching the stars through the observation windows. Outside, the raider fleet drifted, disabled and harmless, while their own reinforcements from Aurora's Reach arrived to secure the area fully. Zyrak's shoulder still burned, but he did not complain. Instead, he simply observed the station, the crew, and the hostages. He understood something new. Protection was not just about survival. It was about giving people a chance to continue living, to thrive, to hope. Arya looked at him again, respect and something warmer in her expression. You're not just a warrior. You're different. Zyrak's eyes softened slightly, though his face remained serious. I am who I must be. Ryan smiled faintly. You're more than that, Zyrak. You're what makes humanity and allies strong: courage, loyalty, choice. The alien's gaze shifted to Ryan, golden eyes steady, calm, but carrying something unspoken. The bond between them was no longer just debt. It was trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Ryan turned to Arya. And you, technician, have courage too. Without your quick thinking, we would not have survived this. Arya shook her head, smiling slightly. I only did what I had to. You three, you were the real heroes. Zyrak stepped back, allowing them space. The moment was quiet but full of meaning. For the first time, the alien did not move with only duty. He moved with choice. He had repaid a debt and found purpose beyond it. Ryan looked around the command deck. The station was safe. The hostages were free. The raiders were defeated. But more importantly, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Hope that humanity and its allies could face the stars and survive. Hope that courage, loyalty, and trust were stronger than fear, and hope that even in a vast, dangerous galaxy, people and beings could protect one another for the right reasons. Zyrak's golden eyes met Ryan's once more. His voice, calm and unwavering, said what words rarely could. I am yours, not by debt, but by choice. I will continue to protect those who need it. Ryan nodded, understanding fully. He had hired a warrior long ago, but what he gained now was something far greater. A friend, a protector, a being who chose to fight for what was right, not for money, not for obligation, but because he believed it should be done. And as they stood together, watching the stars beyond Vathros Station, all three understood something deeply. They were stronger together, stronger than any fleet, stronger than any raider, stronger than fear itself. The galaxy was wide. The stars were endless. But for now they had won, and they would face the future, side by side together, prepared for whatever challenge came next.